Hello, good morning. Welcome to Makers TV. I'm Michaela, and today we're going to be talking about 4 tips for how you can run your first successful online market. Now, I do have a blog post related to this on the Makers Co blog, and it is called How I Made $607 in My First Online Market and How You Can Too. So we're going to go through 4 tips really quickly today, but if you do want to dive a little bit deeper into each of those areas and how you can actually implement this more specifically in relation to whatever you're selling, then do jump over to the website and have a look at that blog post. It's going to be very helpful for you. So this is Makers TV. Every week I publish short, sharp, actionable lessons to help you strengthen your brand and grow your business. I am a branding strategist is the title that I've come up with. I'm really interested in branding, not only in visual identity, but also the strategy behind how you actually build a strong brand and what makes brands successful. So yes, doing lots of learning in that space and then hopefully being able to teach you about all that kind of stuff as well. But let's get into today's topic. Hey, Beck. Oh, thank you, Beck. I feel really tired today, so I don't feel very gorgeous, but thank you very much. So let's jump into it. We're going to get to our first tip, but first I just want to explain basically my background in this sort of area. So when Raf was a little baby, so he's actually 6 now, but just before he was born, I was selling my handmade goods in boutiques across Australia, on Etsy, on my own website, and at markets as well. And what kind of happened was that when he was a little baby, I just really didn't want to keep trekking out to markets every weekend. And I also found that places like Etsy just had a little bit too much competition happening for my items to, be seen and have good sales. So at that time, I sort of devised this system for how I could run some online markets, and I ran them through Facebook. And I do understand that it is a lot. Oh, my battery has just said that it's about to die. Sorry. Ooh, better plug that in so we don't lose connection. Sorry about that. Okay, so as I was saying, I just wanted a system for selling online, and so I was going through Facebook, and Facebook is very different these days. I do understand that back in 2012, it was much easier to get people's attention, but I do believe that these 4 tips are going to help you in any platform that you're selling on at the moment, whether it be your own website or Etsy or through Facebook, Instagram, whatever it might be. So the first tip is basically to build scarcity into your online market. And the beauty of any kind of market is that it has a start and finish time. It is not open all the time. So when you have an online store that's open all the time, people can, they might buy today, they might buy tomorrow, they might buy next week, or they might forget completely and just kind of never remember to come back. So, and that's why you should have a mailing list to be able to get them and bring them back to your site. But that's a whole other story. You want to give them a sense of urgency to actually make that purchase. You want to sort of let them know that this is it, now's the time to buy, otherwise they'll have to wait a while to be able to buy it again. So what I used to do is have a 48-hour market. I would open the album with all the details of everything I was selling. It would be open for 48 hours only, and then it would close. There would be no more sales, and then I wouldn't do it again for another month. So people then knew that they would have to buy now or otherwise wait a month until the next market opened. This is also true for in real life markets. When you go to markets, especially if they're like monthly or quarterly markets, not so much weekly markets, because people might think, oh, I'll just come back next week and buy this thing that you're selling. But definitely that sense of urgency and scarcity is there when the markets are a little bit more spaced out. So this is just one little example of what I would have. So each time the market was open, I would rename the album Open Now, Buy Now, whatever. And then when it was closed, it would be renamed that it was closed. So you can actually jump onto my blog post on the Makers Co website and go through and look at all these albums and actually see how I've set them all up too. So that blog post has links out to all these albums, so you can have a look at what sold and the conversations going on around the post and all that kind of thing and how I set everything up. That's basically it for scarcity. This is basically the instructions that I would put up to show people how to buy. So, I'd put all the images up. I'd say first comment sold, beneath gets it. I'd put shipping information there, and I would say how I would invoice people and all that kind of thing as well. So that is it for tip number 1, is scarcity. So tip number 2 is have great photographs. Now this is super important because especially when you're selling online, in real life, people really like to pick up the thing and look at the thing. So turn it over, sort of feel its weight, like really inspect the thing, right? Online, they can't do that. So you have to show as many angles and like sort of situations as is necessary. Don't go totally overboard and show like 200 photos of the thing, but you really need to have great photographs that show sort of every angle and really give them an idea of what that product is and how it feels and how it looks and all that kind of thing, so they will be comfortable in making that purchase. The other point is you don't need a fancy camera to take these photos. I do. I have a DSLR and all these photos have been taken with that DSLR, so just an example here. But the majority of photos that I take now are literally I take on my iPhone, and the editing stuff on like the programs that come with your phone is really smart these days. So as long as you have, just make sure the area that you're taking the photo is really well lit. So be next to a nice big window. See if I can turn this a little bit so you can see. Oh no, wrong. My camera's up there. Yes, but if you can be next to a really like a large, well lit natural light, so not direct sunlight, but lots of natural light to have that like really nice lighting happening. Just make sure that you are setting everything up. So the lighting is the main thing if you're using your phone, and then you can just do some really basic editing, no filters or anything like that, and then you can get some really nice images without having to have a big fancy camera. Get in nice and close and experiment with different angles and perspectives. So you can also think about having a theme for your photos, and I won't mention that now because we're going to go over time, but if you want to check out more information on that, definitely jump over to the blog post and you can read all about that on there. Okay, so tip number 3 is fostering relationships with your customers before the market. So people are likely to buy from you, firstly, if you're solving a problem for them, like obviously your thing they need or want it for some reason. But then also if they know a little bit about who you are and why you're doing what you're doing and like how you're making it and how their purchase is going to support a small local handmade business. People buy from emotion. So once they're connected to you emotionally in that way and they know more about you, then that's when they're going to come and make a purchase. So you need to foster those relationships before the market. And there's a couple of ways you can do that. You can do it by sending out newsletters. You can maybe create an event for like a Facebook event for the sale, and invite people to that and sort of get them involved that way, post occasionally, snippets of the products or like sneak peeks, something like that. You could, do a countdown on Instagram. You could also just talk to people in real life. Like a lot of my customers at that time were coming from people who I worked with in my day job. So even though I saw them in like every day, they would come and buy from the market time. So you can definitely foster customer relationships that way too in real life by actually talking to people and like talking to people that you know and letting them know what it is that you're doing, because people will support you if, they care about you and they know who you are. So the other thing I was just going to say about Facebook is obviously it was much easier back then to reach everyone, and that has obviously changed now. But Facebook advertising can be a really effective and affordable option. So don't rule that out with getting people to your market. So tip number 4 is have great products. It kind of like goes without saying, obviously. Oops, going too fast on my notes. But yeah, the one thing I really want to push here is the cohesiveness of your products. So everything you're selling in a market should go together and work as a collection. Like if you have a series of, let's say, necklaces in like a boho style, and then really sleek high-end diamond earrings, and then also a range of kids' backpacks, like that's a pretty extreme example. You probably wouldn't have all those 3 things, but you know what I'm getting at. you have 3 very different target audiences you're trying to appeal to in there. So the fact that you have kids backpacks and diamond earrings might turn off that boho chick completely, even though there might be a necklace in there that is absolutely perfect for her. So you got to make sure that all your products work well together. They're really cohesive, and you're choosing one type of product and you're doing it brilliantly. So you can see here that just in this image, like going with the sort of woodland theme, everything goes together. They're made of similar materials, and they all make sense together. So that's basically my 4 tips, but I do have one bonus tip, which is about shipping for short markets. Depending on your price point, if you can make shipping really cheap or free, that's going to really get people to buy more stuff. Because even buy one thing. So if you have fairly cheap items, like say it's $5 or $10, hopefully, well, hopefully it's more than that, but anyway, then, it's going to be hard for people to justify getting that thing for $5 or $10 when shipping is $12, for example. So no one wants to pay more for shipping than what the actual thing costs. So see what you can do, with incentivizing a bit more, like maybe make it flat rate shipping, like buy as many things as you want and shipping is only $9, for the whole lot sort of thing. And, or you could look at like organizing local pickup or drop off, see if, like, that's what I did with the people that I worked with. I just brought everything in so they didn't have to pay for shipping. So that's the main thing, is like the bonus tip. Just make sure that you can make shipping, a non-issue, if that makes sense. So people aren't second guessing their buying decision when they get to that shipping cost. So if they've got 4 things in their cart and they're like, whatever, they've said sold 4 things, and they sort of get down to it and they're like, oh, shipping's quite a bit, I don't know if I want this stuff. That's what you want to try and avoid. Like, make shipping a non-issue. And that will also go into like having a great product and just extolling the benefits to the customer so they know exactly what they're buying and how it's going to benefit them. And then shipping will not, like, they'll want to pay double that just to get your thing to them. Okay, so that's pretty much it for today. Basically, the blog post that I will link to below goes through everything in a little bit more detail, and it also has the links out to all of those albums on Facebook, which still exists 6 years later, to show you how it ran. And as I said, I think these 4 tips can be applied across any selling platform. So whether it be Etsy or your own website or Instagram or wherever it is that you're selling, you could definitely implement these tactics to try and get more sales in your first store or market or whatever it is that you're doing. So what I would love to know is, what is holding you back from selling your thing? Because I've just shown you a free and relatively easy way to be able to sell your thing online. So if there's anything holding you back, I would love to know what it is. And feel free to come over to the Makers Co Facebook community group on Facebook and tell us what it might be that's holding you back, and if we can try and brainstorm some ideas of what you could do to get you moving forward. Thanks so much, guys, for hanging around and listening. And if you found this helpful at all, please share with your friends and other networks. I love having you here. It's so fantastic. I love doing these live videos every week, mostly every week. Sometimes we do an out and about video with interviews and stuff, which is really fun as well. But I will be back next week. If you have any suggestions of what you would like to learn about, please let me know. Otherwise, I will see you later. Bye.